free mission here. We can't stop it. What the fuck? How did I get in my car? They're doomed. They're doomed. They are literally doomed. How was my car even driving before? Hello world of YouTube, and welcome to my 9 Inch Nails discography review update. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the latest album from the project, Hesitation Marks. But if you have not seen my already 2-part, now 3-part 9 Inch Nails discography review, and you'd like to check out part 1, click the always magical, ever present Door Fedora. It's a magical fedora that takes you to magical places, and in that part, I cover all of his releases from all of the band's releases from 1989 to 1999, aside from the Quake score, which I'm going to be covering at a later date. And if you'd like to check out part 2, there's a link to that below in this video and the video to part 1, where in that part I talk about all of their releases from 2000 to 2008, I guess, would be the latest point, except for the album Still, but I'll be covering that in a later, in a different video as well. Now this record, Hesitation Marks. It's the first record from 9 Inch Nails to be put out since their hiatus of sorts, since Trent decided to put the group on hiatus so that he can kind of take a break from touring and all that sort. And in that time, he stayed relevant by working with How to Destroy Angels and the scoring work that he's done for David Fincher films with Atticus Ross. And this release is honestly my biggest, most anticipated record of this year. When it was announced, it indefinitely became that. And do I think it holds up? Yes, very much so. I really like this thing. For the most part, I think that it's a fantastic release. And one of the biggest strengths I think that this record has is that it's very reminiscent of my favorite record. It's a personal thing that I really like about it, but I really like that it's dancey and poppy. Very pop-oriented, like Pretty Hate Machine was, which is my favorite 9 Inch Nails album. It's my favorite album of all time. I really love Pretty Hate Machine. And this record really borrows a lot of sonic attributes from that, in the sense that it's very poppy. Now, not all of it is like that, but a lot of it is like that. Copy of is like that. Came Back Haunted, Satellite, which is my jam. Running really has that attribute to it as well. And these tracks are very synthy, very poppy, but the electronics don't sound dated. It's almost as if, and I described this in my Came Back Haunted review, it's like he took the pop aspects from Pretty Hate Machine and the electronics from The Slip and put them into a record, and I like that about it. Now, while I do like those tracks, it's not the only thing that I really like about this record. I think that those tracks are my favorite tracks amongst all of them in the album. But there's a lot more that this record has to offer. There's a lot of dynamics going on in this thing, and I like that about it. It's something that I had some things to say about The Fragile, and I want to get this straight. I want to set this straight. I know I kind of gave The Fragile a bad rap in my review, but I do like The Fragile. I do like The Fragile. It's just not my favorite thing Trent's put out. That being said, this isn't similar, because it does have this kind of progression to it, but it's similar in the fact that there's a lot of different things going on, and I think that Trent does a really good job of handling that on this release. Now, this record kind of came about, I was listening to the bonus edition conversation that he talked about, and he said this record kind of came about through continuing off of these 2 songs, Satellite and Everything, and kind of borrowing the sonic attributes of one and putting those throughout most of the record. Or at least that's kind of what he said as to what happened. And I'm kind of glad that it went like that, because as you saw in my review of Everything, I do like the song, but I definitely don't think it's my favorite track on this record. And I definitely can see that there's aspects from Everything that he kind of put into different songs in this. And I'm saying that mostly in the sense of there's some really weird stuff on this record. Tracks like All Time Low, and even Satellite to an extent, which is my jam, but has this kind of vibe that has never been done by him before. And While I'm Still Here has the same thing. All Time Low kind of being this track that sounds like David Bowie instrumentally, while Trent kind of has this Beck-esque quality to his voice, mostly in the chorus is what I'm referring to with that, but instrumentally it kind of sounds like a David Bowie offcut from the 90s. It sounds like he's drawing influence from the track he did with David Bowie, I'm Afraid of Americans, but while he kind of sings in the style of Beck in the chorus, and it's really weird. It's a really weird hybrid, but I dig it. Again, not my favorite thing on the record, but I dig it. Obviously, you know what everything is. I've talked about everything. It's a weird track. Satellite kind of has this, I compared it to Justin Timberlake vibe, not Justin Timberlake when his new stuff, like when he was working with Timberland, at least when Timberland's production was a huge influence on Justin Timberlake's sound. It kind of sounds like that, but in a good way. I like that about it. I've been on a real huge pop fix lately, and this record's actually kind of helped cure that fix, that need, that itch for pop. And I wasn't expecting that when I got into this record. I mean, I kind of was after hearing the singles, but I wasn't expecting tracks like Satellite and Running, and again, like Came Back Haunted and Capiava. Like, I still wasn't really expecting those tracks when they first came out. This record definitely surprised me, kind of in the sense that the new Queens of the Stone Age did, but I like this result more than I do the Queens of the Stone Age record. I do like Clockwork, but I like this more, mostly because I'm more of a Nine Inch Nails fan. But yeah, I do dig this thing. I think that there's a bit of a lull after Satellite. Various Methods of Escape is a good song. Kind of sounds like a Fragile track, but it kind of lulls over me. Same with I Would For You, to an extent. I do like those songs and I appreciate them, but I don't feel like it picks up until In 2 again. I think In 2 is a really great song that has this fantastic progression through it. I love the instrumentation on that thing. I love the fact that it kind of bends as it goes along and fades into While I'm Still Here, which is a great closer that has saxophone in it, which is really weird. The first time I heard While I'm Still Here and it was in the saxophone section, I kind of just shook my head in amazement because it was really weird. It was a really weird thing to hear on a Nine Inch Nails record, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this record as a whole. I think that, again, it isn't perfect. It's not the best thing he's put out, but it's something that I really appreciate because of its influences and where it draws from. I'll say it again, I really like Pretty Hey Machine, and I like the fact that this borrows a lot from that style. It's very poppy, and it's very synth-heavy. I think the moments where he breaks up the poppiness are really well placed as well. Another one of the tracks that I'm not big on, but I like the fact that it kind of breaks things up, is Find My Way. It's not a bad song. I don't think that there's really any bad songs on here. There's just some that I like less than others and kind of lull over me as a result. I'm kind of indifferent about them. And Find My Way is another one of those. I like the piano in there. It's very reminiscent of the intimate moment on the track Closer, but I think that he sounds way too much like How to Destroy Angels in the song. I think the way he sings really heavily borrows, or really heavily is influenced by how Mary Queen Mandic performs in How to Destroy Angels. And I'm not saying that's a terrible thing, but I was hoping that wasn't going to happen on this record, and it did, and it was kind of let down by it. But I do still like the song as a whole. Again, it just kind of lulls over me like Various Methods of Escape and I Would For You. I think that they're great songs, and even some of the ones I mentioned are even more of those poppy songs. But as a whole, I dig this thing. I dig this thing a lot, and I'm happy that I do. I'm happy that this album is as good as it is. I think that it was nothing what I had expected, but I'm very pleased with that result. And that's interesting. This year's been kind of interesting with music in general. A lot of the comeback records aren't how I had thought they would be, and I think that this is a great example of one that does that very well. If you like the poppy side of Nine Inch Nails, the poppier tracks on Pretty Hate Machine, and even some of the poppier tracks on Downward Spiral and stuff, I think that you would enjoy this. I think that if you like the way his electronics are held in the latter half of his career so far, you'll enjoy this even more if you enjoy the other stuff as well, because it's kind of like that. It's the poppier side mixed with the electronics that he's done recently. And my favorite track on the record is probably Satellite. I really like Satellite. The first time I heard it, cranked up my car. I was in traffic the first time I listened to this album, or I was driving to school and I hit traffic around the time Satellite came on, and I cranked it up and I was just dancing in traffic. It was a great song. It was awesome. I love Satellite a lot. I love the beat. I love the way it sounds. I love the way that it kind of sounds like it's influenced from Justin Timberlake's Timbaland produced stuff. And yeah, it's good. I really dig this release. It's good. I don't know if it'll be my album of the year, but who knows? So I got a few more months left in the year. But either way, I'm going to get out of here. Again, if you haven't seen my discography review of Nine Inch Nails and you want to check it out, parts 1 and 2 are linked below. I have been Viralrak. Hopefully you enjoyed this. You guys have good days, lives, and situations, and I'll see you another day.